Hey, what's up guys? Jake with Legacy 4x4 here again, and today we're doing some custom rock sliders on an old Toyota Land Cruiser. Don't mind the truck that's behind me here. This is a personal project that I'm working on. The videos for it are going to start coming out on the 1st of January. Anyways, these rock sliders are going to be pretty simple. We're doing some 175 tube runners along the very bottom, and then we're doing an 1.5 inch bent piece of tube along the top, which is going to provide a step and some protection to the lower portion of the door jambs. So it's a pretty simple little project, but we got a lot of fun stuff coming for it. To start it all out, I'm going to actually put on the plasma cutter some frame brackets and some gussets that I'm going to use, and the plasma cutter is going to cut these out for us. Once those brackets are cut out, we're going to start cutting some tube down to length, start bending a little bit of 1.5 inch tube, and we're going to really set these things into place. But first, let's go get some plasma cutting done. Plasma cutter is working beautifully. I got the torch height controller fully dialed in. I've got the cut speeds for everything fully dialed in. I do want to do just a little bit more fine tuning because I'm getting a little bit of dross on some of these thicker metals, but that's all right. We'll figure it out. Until then, we're just going to clean it up and we're going to keep on moving. We got all the plasma cutting done. Now we're going to just clean them up. Like I said, there's a little bit of dross on the back side of these. So we're going to go to clean them. I'm going to use a wire wheel and a flap disc. We're going to clean up and smooth everything out. And then we're going to move on to starting to assemble these tube rock sliders. We made a bunch of these little gussets here, as you can see, completely cleaned up. These are going to go on the brackets, and the tube is going to go directly beneath them. We're going to do a full weld seam on both sides of it. It's going to help provide some additional vertical stability for the rock sliders themselves. The tube obviously provides the majority of the strength, but this is going to help with a couple of longer runs of the tube to provide a little bit of extra counter force on those. So we've got 6 of these for the 6 mounts, and we made 6 of these little brackets here. We're going to cut the 175 lower runners to length real quick right now, and then after that we're going to cut the 1.5 tube to length, and then we're going to throw up on the bender, and we're going to bend the 2 bent portions of this slider, and we're going to start to mock things up into place. Here we are. I've got one side, the passenger side, already finished, and I've got the driver's side sitting on top of it right now. I do it like this so that I can get a perfect layout, and I make sure everything is exactly even and lined up as it's supposed to be. We've got this finished. Now we're gonna tack it together, do one last kind of like look at it, make sure everything's good to go, and then we're gonna do a final weld on it, and then we're gonna start mocking them up on the truck over there. I do need to recut out my mounts. I need to redesign them a little bit, but we're going to go redesign those, cut those on the plasma table, cut a couple other small things on the plasma table, and we're going to go mock these things up on this Toyota. All right, so that's it. The project is completed. Let me go and give you guys a quick look of what one of these looks like mocked up on the truck, and then I'll talk about what's left to do on them before the customer picks them up. So the customer's actually going to mount these himself using some backer plates and some grade 8 hardware. So essentially the frame of the Toyota is going to get sandwiched between a backer plate and the steel that's on the rock slider themselves. And then 4 grade 8 bolts are going to go over top and below the frame. And that's what's going to pin the whole thing together to make a nice solid mounting surface for these sliders. The entire lower portion of these sliders are made out of 1.75 120 wall DOM. 175 DOM is one of my favorite materials to work with. It's extremely versatile and it provides a lot of strength for its weight compared to some other structural steel such as box square tubing. And then the entire upper portion, the part that you would actually step on, is actually made out of 1.5 inch 095 wall. We chose to go down to the lighter, smaller tube at the top to give it a more tapered look as you got towards the body lines, especially up around the door jambs. So we did that also to save a little bit of weight. By going down a size of tube, you're also saving a pretty fair amount of weight. The upper part of it is probably never going to hit anything, hopefully. So it's really just there to provide a little bit of step so that the customer can reach up and grab off of his tent that's on the roof of his truck. I'll be honest, this project took a lot longer than I was expecting it to take. I thought it was going to take me about 6 or 7 hours to do, but instead it took me nearly twice that. I think I've got about 13, 14 hours into it total so far, and I've got a little bit more cleaning left to do before the customer shows up to pick these up. But that's okay. In my mind, it's worth it to take my time and to do things right and ensure that the product I'm giving somebody is absolutely perfect. I did not realize this when we started, but Land Cruiser frames are not straight, and also I had no idea Toyota put their cats on the outside of the frame on the passenger side, and so I kind of had to do an on-the-fly design change, and I made a hoop that goes underneath those catalytic converters and mounts the rock sliders into the very front of the frame. I did that to also provide a little bit of protection to the cats as well. Instead of just avoiding them completely and leaving them completely exposed, by doing a little hoop, you're sacrificing about 2 inches of ground clearance, but you're gaining some protection for those sensitive cats and your exhaust system as a whole. Perfect and beautiful. They fit perfectly on the truck and they look great. And I'm pretty sure they'll be pretty functional when they're all finished up and hanging. All right, so we're gonna call it here today, guys. Thanks for sticking around and thanks for watching. I've never worked on a Land Cruiser before, so this was a fun experience to get to test some of my skills on a vehicle that actually ended up being a lot more challenging than I was expecting. But it was a really fun project. It was a great way to spend my weekend, and I'm super excited with the way these turned out, and I think the customer's really happy with them too. So that's really what matters at the end of the day. I think next week we're gonna have maybe another customer video. It's a big plasma cutter project that I've been working on. It's a big 4-tier shelf system. So stay tuned for that next week. I'm in the middle of finishing that up right now. Otherwise, I hope you guys like these content. I'll try to keep doing some more customer videos and some more stuff of the other projects that I do to keep myself busy and to drum up a little bit of side cash to help fund my other big projects. And I know, because you guys are wondering, this truck that's behind me is a 1950 Willys. I'm building a pre-runner out of it on a custom frame with custom suspension using a 1986 F-150 as a donor. Those videos are going to start in January, so I hope you guys get excited for those. It's a really simple build compared to my Commando, and it's not quite as beefy, but what I'm doing is I'm really letting my creative side fly on this one, and I'm going to do a lot of really fun custom one-off stuff on it to really make this truck stand out. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Like always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and take care.